So we did just get another video kind of mini reveal from Creative Assembly. It just simply shows the logo of Rome Total War 2 with the kind of a crumbling effect. There's cracks throughout it, and we'll have it playing here on this video as well, just to kind of start things out. But it kind of raises some questions. What are we going to be seeing for this DLC that is now Rome 2? I thought it was Attila. Clearly, I am wrong. They might still release something for Attila, like a Flashpoint or something like that. We're not 100% sure. They did say that Rome 2, though, is going to be the cat's pajamas right now. But what does this really mean? You know, the title of it is this the end of the Empire? And then the following subtext or the following caption is, or just the beginning. A lot of people are really kind of set on the notion that this could be the 3rd century crisis, you know, that kind of middle period in between the fall of Rome and the rise of Charlemagne, where you've got the Merovingian dynasty, which is like pretty much the rise of the Franks in Europe. There's a lot of options, you know, and with what we've seen from that concept art, there is some options with the late period of Rome. And we do have that one shot that people kind of have seen as maybe the coast of Ireland. What does that really mean for us too? You know, one big option we have is maybe perhaps a fall of the wall, of Hadrian's Wall, where it's maybe focused a little bit more on you know, pre-England Britain, or pre-England England, and like Pict land of the sort, or maybe even ancient Gaelic society as well. But that one picture I kind of want to go over. I did a little bit more research on the picture itself, you know, and I was like, you know what, that armor maybe isn't Viking armor. And I know that in their most recent blog, they just said one word, Vikings. So maybe this DLC is going to be kind of the fall of Rome and the subsequent rise of the larger Germanic tribes, like the Alamanni and the Goths and the Visigoths and the sort. But it's important to note kind of that armor in that picture is very reminiscent of late period Roman Empire army or armor. Around this time, they drop the Lorica segmentata, and they pick up actually standard scale or mail. They were very afraid of a invasion from the reformed Sassanids in the east. They had their Persian cataphracts, which were pretty much used for mowing down infantry. And at the time, if you think of the standard Roman legionnaire, you've got this foot soldier with a large heater shield or tower shield, and he has got a curved shield as it is, and he's got his Lorica segmentata, so he can't really move a whole ton. He's got a pilum, which is very short ranged, and it's, you know, a one-time use, and he's got a gladius, which is again a very short stabbing sword. Now, in the later period, the Roman army is kind of been blamed for doing what's called I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this properly, but it's barbarization. And people kind of think the big myth is that, oh, the Roman army just allowed itself to be filled with barbarians. It is not true at all. The Roman army, the late Roman period of soldier, was still a very professional, very effective fighting force. It's important to note that during the whole fall of the Western Roman Empire, it wasn't that the Visigoths were just roving through Roman soldiers. In fact, they kind of made the conscious decision to let Rome fall. They said, listen, the seat of power in the Roman Empire no longer is Rome. It is more Byzantium than anything else right now, or Constantinople as it soon became, or Constantinople soon Byzantium, and so ipso facto. But my point is that the legion adapted to the fighting style of the time. And the fighting style of the time saw a lot more cavalry than we were used to in the early middle height of the Roman Empire. The 1st century army was nowhere near the size of the 3rd century army. I'd argue that it was even less than half the current of the 3rd century. And with that, though, you've got this more mobile fighting force. They dropped the gladius for the spatha, which is a longer sword, and they have a smaller but more curved shield on all sides, so it can be used a lot more flexibly, right? It can be used in the same kind of shield wall pattern, but mainly it can be used to deflect anything coming from, say, a cavalry rider. Because if you've got this gigantic shield, it's hard to lift it up in time to, you know, prevent your head from getting lopped off. And the pilum itself was dropped for the original spear that was used way back during the pre-Marian Reformation spear. I think it was, oh man, I have it written down here somewhere. I can't even find it. But that spear is brought back into the fold. And if we see from this image, from the image that we've seen on the leaked concept art, well, I'm sorry, not leaked. I keep wanting to say leaked because it sounds like, oh my God, they leaked it. It's not leaked. They sent it to us. But with that, by the way, the spear is called a hasta, H-A-S-T-A. That's like we have the hastati, the spearmen. But still, this late period armor is very reminiscent of this concept art. And the late period, we didn't see this, oh, these Roman legions are getting filled with these mercenaries. No, 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 no. These were actually a professionally designated unit that the Romans called. So rather than just saying like, oh, okay, they're spreading the army too thin, and it's become this total ragtag unit of, or I'm sorry, army of disloyal, I guess you could say, troops that are only fighting for money. That's not necessarily the actual situation. These were considered federated troops, the foederati, and they were a part of the legion as an extension, in the same way that the equites were in the earlier Roman army. So this style of the Roman chainmail that we see in this picture. He even has a Romanesque helmet. That's the same kind of helmet that the Romans had, that was even used after the Roman period. That was a very popular helmet. A lot of what we've unearthed from Vikings in history, we know that they had a helmet very similar to this. But this shows us a spear, kind of like what we've just talked about with the hasta, a shield that is very reminiscent to the late period Rome. They have the typical, they almost look like the Saxon infantry of not modern day, but I guess you could say of slightly further forward. Saxon infantry of the time of 500, 600, 700 AD. So you've got this kind of what is soon to become the norm of the fighting forces in this one concept art picture. So I think it's a very important picture, again, to kind of revisit here. So do I think this is the crisis of the 3rd century? Possible. Do I think it's a fall of Rome? Very possible. Maybe the southernmost border of the map, campaign map, ends at Rome, and the westernmost is Gaul, or maybe ancient Gaelic and pre-Britain Britain. Maybe northernmost is, I guess I would say, all the way up to the top of the Netherlands, Germany, Denmark, and maybe as far east as Novgorod Road, whatever the hell the name is. I can never pronounce it. Every time I do it, I butcher it, just like right there. But maybe it's just a very focused portion of that map, or maybe we even see the Eastern Roman Empire. Like maybe it's a way, because they even said we wanted to help bridge gaps. So maybe it's supposed to be bridging that gap between Rome Total War II and Attila, because that would be that gap. But at the same time, Attila starts right at that same period. So I'm not overly sure how they're going to do this, but I'm very excited to see what is going to be coming here in the next couple days, if not weeks. You know, Blizzard, or not, sorry, not Blizzard. I went to BlizzCon this past weekend and my head's still there. But Creative Assembly tends to kind of trickle out these little teasers to us, and it's always fun to kind of build with the community what they think this might be. I personally, I was really hell-bent on it being like Barbarian Invasion 2.0 or Viking era. I thought those would have been perfect for Attila, and we see like an ancient Gaelic force that we haven't really seen in Total War game. Total War Attila's got a little bit, and they've got a little bit of ancient Britain there, but I'd love to, or ancient England, whatever you want to call it. I'd love to see those fleshed out a little bit more. But do let me know what you guys think your theories are on this. I feel like right now this is the hot button with Creative Assembly that everyone's really talking about when it comes to Total War games. So I'd love to kind of mash up some history with you guys. I mean, clearly I love Warhammer Fantasy and Warhammer 40,000, but I was a history fan before I was a Warhammer fan, and I'm still a diehard history fan. And this is my favorite era in history, is Roman antiquity, Ptolemaic, Egypt. The Seleucid Empire is also really, really amazing to me too. And hopefully we'll maybe even see some of the Persians, the Sassanid Persians, the re-emergence of the Sassanid Persians in this as well. That would be, it would make sense because that was a driving force for a lot of the developments of the late stage Roman army. But again, guys, post below. Let me know your theories. What you think this is going to be? I love to talk it through with some of you guys. Get back and forth in the comment section. It's always kind of fun to jam out with y'all when it comes to this stuff. But thanks for watching, everyone. Have a good one. Oh, and if you do think that this is something else entirely different, let me know. I'm always open to any kind of supporting facts on that. My mind's been a flutter. I thought it was one thing this morning. That I'm pretty set on this today, or right now at least. But thanks for watching, everyone. Have a good one and take care.